Hello, my name is Christine and I'm on the design team for Arden Creative Studios, and in today's video we're working with the brand new Garden Chronicles Collection from Katie Petite. And considering it's National Scrapbooking week at the moment, I'm not a scrapbooker, as you know. I'm a card maker, but I do love art journaling as well, so I thought we'd switch it up and do an art journal page rather than a card today. And I've picked out a few bits and pieces to play with. This is literally my first time playing with this collection, so I haven't actually used anything yet, so I'm really excited, and I'm probably going to get carried away and try and over add things onto here. But I've picked out the sticker book, which has some beautiful designs, and you get everything. There's 5 different pages and you get everything on a clear PET sheet, which this time is matte, not shiny, and onto a washi sheet as well. So I want to see what bits and pieces we can use from this. I've got the stencil, which is called Flourished Lattice, which I can't wait to use. It's a gorgeous design. And then I've also picked out the laser cuts, because I love the laser cuts. One of the rub-on transfer sets from this collection that's just called Garden Chronicles, and it's the A5 size one. And then I've also picked out the My Flowers stamp set, because I'm absolutely in love with these gorgeous pieces here, and I think I might add those onto the background of this journal page. And I've also pulled out the Ledger continuous PET tape as well, just in case we want to throw a bit of that in too. So stay tuned to see where we end up with this art journal page. So first of all, I probably should explain what art journal I'm working in. I like to make these little art journals. I often use old jelly printed papers and things to make them, but this time I have made it out of my beautiful Arden papers. And the 3 central pages, I only made this last night as to filming this video, but the 3 central pages are 3 that I have chosen from the 12x12 Garden Chronicles paper pad. So I have picked out this one in the middle here, this one here, and this one here, and we're going to work on a portion of this gorgeous purpley one today. So I love creating these journals from patterned papers as well, because look at the little serendipitous kind of placement that you get in a page, like that perfect bird there. That page is almost finished. It only really needs some kind of motivational quote, maybe a little bit of extra stamping or some rub-ons or something to finish it off. Whereas other pages end up being a complete sort of blank canvas, but not a stark white page that's difficult to work from. It's a lovely pattern to start with. This one is obviously going to be very postage kind of themed. Maybe even the Bean There collection would work really nicely with that one as well. But for today, we could either work on this page or we could work on this page. And as this is the first time of me playing with this collection, I feel like I'm going to go over the top. So I think I'm going to go for quite a plain page, so I've got the ability to add lots of bits and pieces onto this as we're working. So I think the first thing I want to do is sort of start to build up some sort of texture in the background, and I really want to use these 2 beautiful, almost like colour wheel or colour chart kind of pieces that are in this stamp set. They could even be like stylised spider's webs as well, because this is all to do with flowers, this set. But I really want to use those 2 in the background. And then because I'm working in a journal and I'm not sure if I want to add any splatter or do any watercolour or anything on top of this later on down the line, I'm going to use an archival ink pad to stamp in. So I'm going to use Dusty Concord, which is the lightest purple archival that I've got, just to kind of add this beautiful detail into a couple of areas in the background. And I don't know which way we want it, maybe coming out this way. So I'm going to do... Oh, that looks beautiful. Love that texture. And maybe we could use second generation. Oh, that's really nice, the second generation over there. Okay, and then I'm thinking this one, maybe full strength in the top corner, like this. And then we could use the second generation down here. Oh yeah, I like that. Now just add something into the background. We might come back to some of these other floral elements as well, but I just wanted to get something down in the background first. And then my next kind of step is usually to go for the stencil, or a little bit of stenciling, just to add some extra patterning into here. So I do just want to add something subtle. So I think purple ink, sort of subtle wise, maybe milled lavender would work nicely. It should be really nice and subtle. I do have a bit of oxide in this ink blending brush, so it may come out a little bit more opaque, but that's alright. So just add a little bit of this gorgeous patterning. Yeah, just really subtle. You can just see that. Really, really subtle, little bit of design in there. Okay, and then maybe let's do a little bit more of it over here. Oh, that looks so good. And then maybe we'll, because we did Dusty Concord for the archival stamping, let's do a little bit of Dusty Concord in this pattern in that top section there. I'm going to use the same brush because my other purple brush has got a bit of seedless preserves on it, and I'm not sure that colour would go very well. So I'm just going to do Dusty Concord up here, just to add in a little bit more of that beautiful pattern. It's really lovely, really unusual as well. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so we just added a little bit of something into the background so far. Then I've also picked out the rub-ons because I really think some of these beautiful elements, maybe even using that full image here perhaps, would look beautiful. And I want to tie in some turquoise onto this page. We've kind of lost all of the greenery that was on this side of the paper from trimming it down to fit in the journal. But I feel like adding a little bit of the turquoise will sort of tie this page into this page, even though we're going to make them as two separate pages. I think just doing a little bit to tie that in would be really nice. So let's have a look. Yeah, let's go through these rub-ons and cut out some pieces that we think are going to work nicely. I do think this image would be really nice because this is what's on the original paper, but on the other side of the paper that I'm not using. And I really like the little colour swatches that Katie does often in her collections. They're really beautiful. So I definitely want that little purple swatch up there. I do think this would look really nice. So let's cut her out as well. Not sure where yet. Possibly in that corner. And then we've got that beautiful turquoise leaf there, which is a little bit darker turquoise. We've got these leaves here, which are slightly lighter, and also this splatter here would go really nicely because that's almost the exact same turquoise colour. This is lovely too. I think it's like almost a sweet pea kind of vine, this piece. I mean, could we layer those? Maybe we could layer that one in first with this one on the top. I'd like the idea of that. Okay, and then we'll have a couple of extra splatters that we can save for another project that we'll need to cut around here as well. But let's just get this one trimmed out. I love that these new rub-on packs have got 4 different designs in them and 2 sheets of each of them, so you've got so many options for different designs that you can pluck out of them to use. And we might use that little splatter somewhere else and save this pink one for a different project. So just snip around that. Yeah, I think that coming out from the corner there, and then that beautiful, I think that's a lilac flower, layered over the top, because I have layered the rub-ons before and they do layer really nicely. So I think maybe something like that. Then that little turquoise splatter definitely. Maybe this one here as well because it's kind of that lighter turquoise colour. Then what's on the next page? Lots of darker kind of splatters, and then the final page is more sort of linen-y kind of colour, like old ledger paper sort of a colour. So I don't know if that's going to go with this project, but what else could we pick from here? Maybe we want a third splatter, so this purple splatter could work really nicely as well. So we'll pick that little splatter out too. That's not necessarily where they're going to live, but I just like to roughly cut around the rub-ons and place them roughly where I want them to go when I'm sort of designing a layout. So that's that. Then we've got all of these beautiful bits and pieces in this sticker book. There are so many gorgeous pieces in here. These ones again would go really nicely more on a neutral sort of page where you're going with that old book page kind of colour, and you get the washi sheet of each of them and the matte version of the PET stickers. I'm pretty sure the previous sticker book had the glossy PET in it, but we've now got the matte sheet, which is fantastic. Now, is there anything from here? Maybe not. This is the page that I really want something from. So this has actually got some of this sort of neutrally kind of colour in, so maybe we will want to bring in some of those other rub-ons to tie that in, or maybe we want them to really stand out. But I really want to use one of these as my kind of sentiment on this page. But then the question is, do we do it in the PET tape, or do we do it in the washi tape style? I think I'm going to go with the washi tape style, and I like this one here. Expect nothing and appreciate everything. So I'm actually going to tear this page out and I'm going to cut around this because I want to be able to play around with my layout. I think it's going to be easier if I've cut this out rather than peeling it off ready, so that I can decide exactly where I want this to go. And then is there anything else on the other, is there one more page or two more pages? Two more pages that might work. We could even go for some of the Ledger PET tape, and then we've actually got black and white images again in here as well, which is lovely. So let's stick with just our quote kind of piece for now, but then if we want to bring some of that colour in, if we don't go back to the rub-ons, we could do some of the PET tape, like torn little bits of the PET tape maybe coming in at some points on this, or let's have a look in the laser cuts and see what else we think would go really nicely. I do love the postage stamps, they're absolutely gorgeous. We could add a butterfly in, maybe a purple butterfly. Nothing's jumping out at the moment on these, but we might come back to them. Let's just work on our layout first, and then we'll see if there's anything that we feel like it needs afterwards. But I do think maybe the purple splatter there, then like some of the random blue splatter, this element sort of coming up that way, that there, that gorgeous swatch in the top, and then this is going to be in 3 separate lines. So we could fit that in there, or maybe we could put it like coming down the page or something. Or do we completely change the layout and do something more like that? Maybe bring the purple splatter up there, and then the blue splatter down here. That could work as well. I think I like it like that actually. Okay, so let's get our first lot of rub-ons on. I'm going to snip that stalk off just because I know that that one is going to go over the top of it, so we don't necessarily need that piece of stalk there. We're going to rub this one down first. Place this one like that. So I've added all of the gorgeous rub-ons on. I love how they sort of just meld into the background, and it's crazy how you can't even tell that you've rubbed them on. They just sort of completely disappear into the background. You just got, it looks just like it's part of the pattern paper, which is fabulous. But now I'm thinking, the way I've laid this out, do I want some kind of frame to make you sort of look at the sentiment, or possibly put the frame so it's sort of partly framing the foliage and then the sentiment sort of hanging off of it? So in the Ledger Essentials 6x8 paper pad, there is some Polaroids at the back of this, and I'm wondering if one of these would work really nicely. I love that sort of gridded paper kind of one. I think I might pop this one out. And then we've got to pop the central section out as well. So possibly we could have that, or we could put that there like that, or if we don't think that's going to work, in the actual 12x12 Garden Chronicles paper pad there's also some frames in here too. And they've got a beautiful faux stitching on them. And there is a purple one in here as well. Maybe we could put both frames on. Maybe the layeredness of the frames would look nice. So let's have a look. Let's pop this purpley one out. Let's do this one. So it's got like purple and white stitching, a purple zigzag stitch, and then a white straight stitch going around it, which is really lovely. Really subtle little frame. See, and that one's a bit bigger, so I feel like that one just works better actually. It's different tones, they just work better, so maybe we are just going to go for the ones from the 12x12 paper. Now this also has loads of gorgeous extra sentiments in here. I do really love this one, but maybe like a little plaque might go nicely as well. So this one says, expect nothing, appreciate everything. I quite like this one. It just says simply magical. Little simply magical. Maybe we could have that like poking out from under the little frame. Simply magical. I think that could work, and then we could add some other elements. There might be something from the laser cut that we feel like we could tuck into that frame nicely. So I like that a lot. Let's have a look then back at the laser cuts and see if any of these bits and pieces kind of stand out to be part of this frame effect here. Maybe we could tuck one of those postage stamps in. Now we've got somewhere to kind of ground it. Or there may be something else. We've got more florals on this one. I don't know if there's any purple florals. They're all more neutral kind of ones. I do always get drawn to the butterflies. I feel like we could definitely do with a butterfly. don't know if that's the right purple. Is the other one a better? Yeah, I think maybe the other one's better purple tones. Slightly more of a blue purple. Okay, I think the butterfly then. And we have that kind of flying in there. We've got this here. Oh, I think that's everything for now. But I do want to go back to the rub-ons maybe. Let's double check the sticker book too. Because I mean, we could use one of these washi stickers with, now we know we've got this kind of colour in our sentiment, we could put a washi sticker. I think maybe the rub-ons are going to blend in more, so let's go back to the gorgeous rub-ons. It's been a very rub-on heavy art journal page, but I absolutely adore these. Okay, so we could go another splatter kind of element, which would look nice, like one down here. And possibly, oh, that would look nice actually. Yes, or let's just quickly check these ones before I cut them out. I do love that bubble wrap one. We might be able to cut that and use it in two different areas actually. Okay, let's trim around this beautiful bubble wrap one. Okay, I feel like if we trimmed this like this, we could have a nice patch of it there and then a little piece of it up there to kind of tie all of that in, and then maybe we could put one more small piece down there, maybe this little bit. Yeah, these rub-ons are brilliant. Okay, so let's rub these ones into place and then I'll come back. Absolutely beautiful, and where they overlap looks really good as well, because you've kind of got the translucency and you can see the leaf through it, so that's really cool too. Okay, so I'm just going to trim any little pippy bits off of where they were held into the sheet. Okay, and then the next thing that I want to check is these look like they're going to stand out really nicely at the moment, but they're currently on a white backing. So if I peel one of these off and I hold it over, okay, it is still going to stay nice and visible. Sometimes with these, well, I guess it's well, it's kind of with the rub-ons really. Sometimes though, things can be much more translucent than you think, and you may stick it down and think, oh, it's kind of like disappeared into the background. So I was going to recommend we could have stuck them onto a piece of white card and trimmed around them, but I think they are going to stand out enough as they are. So I think what we're going to do is stick this little Simply Magical just coming out from the bottom of this frame, like so. And these are actually double-sided from the paper pad, so if you wanted to do some fun techniques with laminating and creating frames or shakers and things like that, these would work really nicely. You could do like clear pocket kind of page cards as well, and they would be visible on both sides. That would work really nicely. So we've got that piece like that. I've got the gorgeous butterfly, and then we've got our lovely sentiment as well. And I think I'm going to have the sentiment slightly overlapping the frame too. So I'm going to stick the frame down first. If I was putting this onto a card, I probably would use some 3D foam, but because this is going into a journal, I don't want it to get too thick and bulky. So I'm going to put that like that. I think the butterfly about there, and then I do feel like overlapping the frame a little bit would look nice, so we're going to do Expect Nothing. Yeah, that is still really nice and legible, that's really good. And then Appreciate Everything. Oh, these stickers are brilliant. I'm going to be using these a lot. Expect Nothing, Appreciate Everything. And then we've got this gorgeous little butterfly. Just, it's a little bit of dimension. I don't want to stick it flat. I will just stick it on the body so the wings can lift up when you open the journal. Or where do I actually want this? Maybe I don't want it there. Maybe, oh, actually over there. I've got to decide where I want it now. I think there actually. Okay, so I'm going to stick the little butterfly into place. Like so. And then with all of my journals, art journals, this kind of more of a junk journal kind of journal, but not using junk, using gorgeous products, I like to add a date stamp on. So I just use one of these like old roller date stamps that you would kind of seen in library books and things. And I am filming this ahead of time, so it's the 21st of April today, but I'm going to put that there. So I just need my black ink pad. And I do kind of like to make the date part of the page as well. So some people may want to hide a date if they put it on somewhere, but I like to actually, you know, make it quite visible. So I usually do it kind of in triplicate to kind of add that extra sort of element. It's kind of as if you were stamping something onto the background. So I do like to do it in a couple of areas as well. So I'm going to do it over there too. And then I might just do it once up the top there as well. And I think maybe what this is lacking is a little bit of doodling. So I've got a 0.4 fine liner here, and I'm thinking a kind of scribbly border within this beautiful frame would kind of emphasise it a little bit. So I'm just literally gliding the pen up against that and going around it. I think that helps that pop out a little bit. And then I want to do a butterfly trail as well. So we could do, coming across here, I don't want to lean on the date that I've stamped on there and transfer it everywhere. I think just bringing the trail across the card looks really lovely. Okay. Then I think maybe a little bit of white splatter would look good on this as well. So let's just take some white ink, get a little bit of water, and a paintbrush, and we'll just take a little bit of white ink. Now I don't want it to go over the sentiment really, so we've still got this scrap bit here. If I cut this a bit smaller, we could just place that over the sentiment so it doesn't make it illegible with like a big blob of white over the top of it. And then we're just going to delicately do a little bit of white splatter, and I may feel like I need a little bit of white pen detail after this as well, but we shall see what it looks like. And because we've used all like gorgeous products rather than using too many like water-based inks, this will stay nice and white, which is lovely. Okay, so we've got our white splatter, and then I do think maybe a little bit of a white gel pen would look good. I kind of want to do it around the sentiment, going along like the bottom edge of it. I'm holding my pen weird so that I don't put my hand in the wet ink on the page. Does that look alright? Yeah, I think that just adds like a little white highlight. I think it's because when I'm working on a card, I always add it onto a white card blank with a little border around once I've finished. So I always feel like when I do a journal page, I need to add a bit more white in. Yeah, I think that just helps that pop out a little bit more. So I think we're pretty much done for this little journal page. It's the first one I've made in this journal because I only made this journal yesterday, but I think I like it. I think it's turned out quite well, and I really love that expect nothing, appreciate everything sentiment as well, and building up all of this depth with the stamps, the stencils, loads of the rub-ons as well, adding in a little bit of white splatter afterwards, and just really having fun and building up a design. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video using the Garden Chronicles collection from Katie Petite and doing a little bit of art journaling with me. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!